I mangled my car again the other day, so they lent me a GL K350 that had Bluetooth on it. So I spent the night at home in the garage the other evening having fun with it. So how do we do it? We make a distraction. We go in, we make you think we're doing something else, we have a little bit of fun, we enjoy ourselves, and then we take your Bluetooth data. The distraction could be anything by us just sitting in reception, to sitting in the traffic lights, to sitting here in this presentation hall. Now, not that I'm doing it, because as I've said, I only play fairly, as Jay will go. You only play fairly. I do. Between the hours of 9 to 5, I'm a white hat. Jay's going to throw something at me. So this was the network. This was fun. So somebody was sitting on, that's me, heavy protein. You can tell that because it's got the little person on it. But we have somebody's iPhone, we have an iPad, we have an Android system, a bunch of others. These are just a few that I made friends with while we're on the system. And these are their IP addresses, and this is them getting their backup list, and this is their server, and this is their registration, and this is the response. And as you can imagine, there's rather a lot of this data. This is you guys plugging into a wide open wireless network, going, hello, let's be friends. Now, if you're doing this, imagine what the heck your staff are doing. Imagine what the CIO is doing for trying. The CIO is like, oh, I've got a new 4GS, let's plug it into something. We did a beautiful one. We were working with a financial organization somewhere, and the CEO, CIO just got himself one of the new iPad 2s, but it was in default mode. So we sat, he was up on the second floor, so we sat on the ground floor. What did I do with my Wi-Fi? I've lost it. So we sat on the ground floor, we grabbed one of those and we renamed it. I think it was like AT&T or AT&T Store or something like that. And his iPad went, whoa, Wi-Fi, and plugged into it. At which point we let him go to the internet via our proxy server, and we let him do all the things he wanted to do, and we captured it all. Then we reverse engineered it into him, and we owned him and his network and his system and his company. He's still using his iPad, for crying out loud. All right, you guys get this. How do we do this? You guys get it. Yes? Do we have anybody from RTD in the office today, in here? No, good. Because we're going to have some fun with their stuff too. You guys know the 16th Street Mall buses? Yeah? You know where there's the coffee shop, like Arapahoe and 16th or whatever it is? There's the Starbucks coffee shop that's got chairs outside of it. If you ever see me sitting there giggling, just watch the buses as they go by. So this is fun. And again, as I said earlier, all part of an engagement, so we're civilized on doing this kind of thing. So we had fun. So the buses, they're all the hybrid-y weird things. But they don't always turn up on time, and we have problems with buses, so we decided to take matters into our own hands. So they have wireless, but it's running on like 750 or 900 megahertz, so we had to modify our settings a bit. Then you get into the management system, at which point all you have to do is fire up, is it Cummings or is it Detroit? It's Cummings, isn't it? That one? That wasn't. Whose was this one? This was, I'll leave it, it's Detroit, it's Cummings. Anyway, Jesse's the one that enters. So as we are to computers, Jesse's to all things mechanical, trust me on this one. So we messed around with it. We got access to the wireless system, we fired up the engine management control system, and we decided we didn't quite like how the speed limiter was. Because it wasn't running fast enough. So we decided to speed it up. The other nice thing about it is you can apply the brakes on those things so it can stop the damn thing. So if you see the buses doing shuffle bus down the road, that's our fault. So what else do we mess around with? And again, as you engage an IT security organization, not an audit company, somebody who will come in and beat the living snot out of your organization, because that's the only way you're going to know what your vulnerabilities are. Make sure they don't just do the basics. Let them have fun with the SCADA systems. Let them have fun with the VOIP systems. Even if they have to do it between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. We're used to working nights. I don't care if it's production. It still needs to be tested. Because we can have fun with SCADA. SCADA systems. Do you guys know what SCADA systems are? Yes? No? Okay, so SCADA control systems. Think of your oil, your gas, your water, your heating, your lighting, your HVAC. What am I missing? Transportation systems, rail systems, all those things, pretty much, and there's more, we could probably go through a long list, all have a level of SCADA control. Either I lost air, no, we're good. all have a level of SCADA controllers in them. They are to a level like analog to digital systems. They tell you when the valves open, when the valves close, what the flow rate is, and all this other kind of fun stuff. They also, in the top left-hand side, are really, really good in nuclear power plants. So this one, we sat in a coffee shop and we made friends with the nuclear power plant in Illinois from the coffee shop, because they plugged the SCADA network into the corporate network, because they didn't want to have the same management and stuff, so they did that. This one was great. This was the relay for lighting controls for a city, so we could actually black out the entire city. The password, it was hard work, it was 4 zeros. And the bottom one was another transportation system. All control systems. And there's a whole bunch more. So that's SCADA systems. Then we had fun with embedded electronics. Those are fun. For that, it isn't really showing very well. It's a pain in the ass. Anyway, that is a submarine-launched Polaris missile that had a bit of a problem with the embedded electronics. Unfortunately, the factory that those were made in didn't exactly own all of its own systems, and somebody managed to infiltrate them, get into the system, and have fun with them. Not good. The fun thing with that one is, we had fun with the embedded controllers on some of those as well. We've got some more slides on that. But again, the message on this one is, even if you have weird stuff, we've worked with companies that have got satellites in the air and all this kind of crazy stuff. Find somebody that's going to look at the oddities in your organization. So the phase 9 stuff, policies, procedures, and controls. This is where it isn't just a matter of saying, hey, we should have passwords, we should have controls, we should do this. This is having the acceptable use policy. This is having the emergency response policy. This is having the risk policies. This is having the data handling policies. All of these things, and the controls that go around them. Get the organization that comes into the assessment to look at that stuff. Get them to help you build them if they're not in place. As somebody goes through an assessment, this stuff gets recognized. Hey, you say you have passwords, but you don't have them properly. Where's the controls and what are you doing with it? This is fun. I'm sorry, I'm going to pick on other companies for a second. So what else did they forget? Well, remote workstations. How many of you guys have remote users? Lots of you. They should be part of an assessment. Figure out what part of the network they're coming in, etc., etc. This one's great. We just did some work with an organization up in Idaho, and they're like, yeah, we're looking to actually let our users bring the PCs, bring their home computers into work. And I'm like, yeah! It's a nightmare scenario from an HR, a legal, a compliance, etc., etc., etc. All of this stuff, you guys get the idea. The environmental systems. We've got a slide on what we call data center cookery. It's kind of fun. It goes about environmentals. But this goes back to what we're saying. This is your organization. This is the PCI or the HIPAA or the FERC or the NERC or whatever it is. That's the part you've got compliant. This is what the bad guys are going to focus on. Why? Because it's easier. If I want to break into your organization, I'll go to the CIO's home. Why? Because number one, it's probably public information, and if it isn't, we'll find it. Because the chances are he won't have the passwords on his wireless, because the CEO, CXO, CIO really don't like having to remember long and complex passwords. And they've got the most data, despite the fact they probably should have the least access. And they're easier to get into. So if I backdoor their system and I put a keylogger on it, the chances are I'll have access to everything I want. Or I'll come in the satellite entrance, or I'll come in via the smoker's entrance, whatever it takes. The whole concept here is to look after the data and the information we're after.